series of relaxing bossing. Today we are coming in with a very classic boss, which is the giant mole. Released in 2006, which is pretty late actually. I did not realize he's such an old boss. So, of course I need a light source, so giant mole is quite an interesting mid-level boss who is pretty much instantly killable as soon as you have protection from melee. But of course you will need yourself some damage as well, because his defense is quite high. He sits at defensive stats of 200 with some pretty good bonus stats, which will get multiplied. His slash is pretty resistant to slash. So let's repot here. So after Falador Hards, you will be given an indicator as to where the mole is, which is pretty interesting because I did not. Apparently, that is something you need the Falador shield in your inventory for. Isn't that just interesting? Now you know. Okay, everyone, here we are, back again with what we needed, which I already forgot. That's right, that's the Falador shield, everybody. And there you go. Get a nice location tracker for Mole, which is the pretty much the only viable way to farm him. Maybe not fight him, but farm him. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Oh my god, there's someone down here. So, aside from certain ranged methods, which are pretty powerful, there are also methods to bring, like a cannon down here, which I believe will help with aggro. So you can see here his defense is still, can be dealt with a slash weapon at my level. However, I will say the skill is going a little bit better than usual. Usually he is a bit of a pain. And so this is the entire fight. There isn't much to talk about in terms of the fight, and there are no mechanics aside from him running away. So let's talk about some other things about him, such as why one might even farm him in the first place. So he's got a couple of interesting drops. One is 100 U-logs. Back in the day, 100 U-logs used to be worth more money. But even now, as an Iron Man, so let's talk about from an Iron Man perspective why Giant Mole is important. Giant Mole is a good source of U-logs for your birdhouse runs if you don't want to cut the wood down yourself. But most importantly, Giant Mole drops after a certain, after Falador Hards. He will drop his claw and his, don't want to eat food and waste it here, we'll drink the energy. He will drop his claw and his skin, and those can be traded in for, I believe, one bird's nest each, or maybe it's a couple bird's nest each. And a Giant Mole actually has special defenses against Crush. He has an extra 40 compared to Slash, which is actually quite large since his base defense is 200. That's actually 200 times 40, which is 8,000 that gets added to his defense roll for Crush versus Slash. That's why that's pretty significant. He does hit pretty hard if he does land. I should actually be better about flicking my prayers here. I should not have just been running with piety. So yeah, Dragon Warhammer is definitely a questionable spec to use against him. I would say DDS is probably best. Crystal Halberd probably is very strong as well, which we're going to be testing next. as it is very ridiculously accurate against larger mobs like giant mole. And could be used as a very good last-hitting weapon, which is also useful because mole has a habit of leaving, and there are certain ways to stop him from digging, not 100%, but I believe there are factors. So yes, here, I'll read this here. When the mole's health is between 5 and 50%, there is a 25% chance that an incoming attack will cause a burrow. So, yeah, last hitting with the crystal halberd, not a bad way to minimize that time. As you could see, that was a ridiculous failure. So now every time I attack in between those health brackets, I am risking, I'll pick up those air runes, I am risking a burrow. So you see here the biggest buy-in for sure for Giant Mole as an Iron Man or for anyone are the stamina potions. I have quite a bit of stams, however I used a good 30 on CMI recently, so I don't have too many. I actually have about 100 in the bank, plus probably some that could be combined. Yeah, so here's a better example of me not landing as many good hits on him. I say that as it starts to come up, but yeah, the fact that you can miss at all with these attack bonuses with piety is pretty incredible. It's a sign of a mob with high defense. Once again, we're going to try to bring out the crystal halberd and do one shot here. And once again it fails. It's kind of interesting. I'll have to calculate to technically see if stab would be better than crush. I don't think so, since we don't have any stab bonus, obviously, which means we'll have a difference of 22. Plus we get the extra 4 from slash, so yeah, mathematically running stab because of the 20 difference, I don't believe makes it worth it. But as you can see here, it is definitely worth it to try to trigger that last hit with the crystal halberd, or at least save your specs for this, because a 25% chance to burrow is pretty high if you're hitting zeros on him like you are here. This is why Darox is a pretty massive meta, because Darox is pretty accurate, all things considered, being two-handed, piety, pop boosted, etc. And you hopefully will not be fighting him below the, too far within the threshold anyways. See, I'm actually totally, again, wasting prayer bots on piety here. It's not something I should be doing. Originally I brought the prayer bots because I was going to do a gear switch to just pray melee, which is another way to go. I have a bunch of food that I may as well just not do that. And this is Giant Mole. I've been told here by a 200 mil farming player, I believe she was rank 4 iron for farming, for 200 mil farming. She told me / us, the clan, that Giant Mole is absolutely the way to go for birds' nests. It's how she did it. And so, God's truth, clearly. Especially if you are lazier with your birdhouses, like the early stage of my birdhouses was pretty abysmal. I unlocked Fossil Island super early to do them, but then I never actually ended up running them for a long time. I'm not sure why. sure how many. Sorry about that there, I'll try to edit that out. I'm also not sure about how many kill count I want to try to grab on this video. I like my relaxing bossing videos to be a little bit more just succinct entries about what bosses exist in RuneScape, how old they are, etc. Meta for fighting them. Like I said, there's definitely a Bofa meta, there's a Twisted Bow meta, because Giant Maul technically has 200 ranged combat status. Not because, did I say range? I meant mage. And this isn't because he uses. Boy, this is incredibly unlucky. It's not because he uses, mage. It's to avoid people maging him. Because if you don't know, the way mage defense works in this game is that your defense level only accounts for 30% of the base multiplier for your defense, and the other 70% is magic. Which is why it's pretty important having magical resistance gear to protect, and like PKing wise, especially in PvM. We will be switching over to our prayer gear pretty soon here. We're getting low health. Or low food rather. Again, I'm a little miffed that I literally haven't landed a single crystal halberd spec. I mean, it's such an accurate weapon. Let's just go for it now here. I'm definitely not going to go over all 50 kill count, but we could if we end up rambling for long enough. I mean, at the end of the day, I would still be getting birdhouses, which are useful. Okay, let's do a, there we go. So that's interesting. It seems like maybe each hit counts. Will he take the damage here? I can't tell if he actually took any of the damage from the second hit. In that case, maybe Crystal Halberd is not a good weapon to end with in case one of the individual triggers, or one of the individual hits from the two triggers him to leave, and then you miss out on one. So maybe it's better to get him into the 50%. On that note, though, I suppose it's very possible to argue that Dragon Warhammer does outperform it, or even DDS in that case, for earlier damage. Crystal Halberd has an overall higher damage output, but it has a lower DPS in most circumstances. Whack-a-mole. Would have been cool if that was the pet. I think Giant Mole pet is very rare. Okay, so let's see here. Decent, but not great. Okay, so yeah, I certainly will not be going for 50 kill count on this video. However, I do, part of my account is, I'm definitely a PvE account that is going to be like, the clout, the achievements, the whatnot. So I absolutely want to fill out my boss high score on every boss that I can. Giant Maul is at 21, so you need 50 for almost every boss, unless they're like a special kind of boss, like Jad was 5. Skatisa was either 5 or 10, Hespori was some weird number. I don't even know. Goodbye, mate. We are actually out of the stamina here too, so maybe we'll gear up for another inventory possibly, so we could show you the spoils. Giant Maul might be relaxing for some of you, maybe not, because it's such a boring boss. stew. Not with the saw though, because it does not work on things that need to be sawed. Or that don't need to be sawed, rather, which is very funny. So yeah, man, what is up with Crystal Halberd? Like, what the fuck? I think it's just that we're getting bad RNG. There's no way that that's a good representation of its efficacy, because I mean, this thing drops, you know. It's pretty common for me to hit like a 100 with it on task. Maybe we're seeing considerable exponential differences because we're not on task. I also totally forgot my stamina pot, so we're gonna need to come back for that anyways. See, like that hot hit. Pretty hot hit. So he's gone now. Let's see if we could get him to not disappear. Let's also maybe see if we could put a cannon somewhere. Let's look at this. Gee, so that was I was off screen, so I forgot to put piety back on. But yeah. I'm not exactly sure where to see 100 U-logs. Pretty sweet, even if, you know, it's 100 U-logs is always pretty sweet. So here, let's pick up a cannon. Let's test this out here, why don't we? Is this something I could edit up a bit? Funny enough, the one kind of quick video I watched on giant mole with a cannon seemed to imply a technique in which you run them around the cannon. That's not exactly what I'm going for here, I'm going to be honest. I'll have to maybe, I don't know, mess around with some setups or something. Maybe find a good spot that might aggro him, but I don't really know his common burrow locations yet, except for a rather inconvenient one on top of that area, or this area. I do also want to turn off the cannon double spots there. See, I don't even know if this is a good spot, because this can't fucking reach mole, apparently. Alright, well, let's keep going here and just see. I mean, his range of defense is pretty high, and I have no ranged accuracy, so again, kind of a waste of cannonballs. Again, this is more of an aggro thing. You see, he aggroed quite far away. Seeing like, maybe, you know, this is a really far shot here. I'm sure you guys are going to tell me that's ridiculous, but one of the places I was considering was like up here, because at least it would aggro him. Wow. Now here in this situation, maybe, you know, maybe that's a better spot. This is also a little bit more of an accurate place that he'll end up. So let's just here. Let's go for this. Let's see what happens. You know, it's all about, you know, trying to mess with the meta anyways. RuneScape's meta has been put on its head a million times over. Yeah, 1 in 3,000, that's a pretty bad drop rate. I'll tell you. Giant mole pet is pretty cool though, not because I think it looks cool, I think it's quite the opposite. I think it looks pretty ridiculous, which is kind of funny though. It almost doesn't look like a pet that would be out there in the wild. Yeah, you can see here sometimes sometimes Giant Mole does hit you pretty damn hard. Slapping you for 20s. He has a max hit here of 21. Yeah, which is pretty high. You can see he's really bringing it out. He's also definitely bringing out the defense that I told you about, where, you know, not all of his skills are fun. Once again, not a good spawn spot. This is definitely the worst one. I think it's probably universally agreed upon. See, because another problem is, if I do hit him with a cannon over here, he'll just safe spot himself like so. Oh, now you see here, we did actually successfully trigger him to re-burrow over there. That was not bad. Let us maybe mark that. Well, you know, that's the other thing. When he does burrow, if he burrows over here, it will cause him to come back. So I don't know. We have quite some interesting options. I guess the worst way to fight him with a cannon would be to fight him actively with a cannon, because you're causing his. I'm not really sure what that achievement was for. But yeah, because you're causing him to have more of a chance of leaving. Pretty decent hit. Definitely worth it over Dragon Warhammer, that's for sure. Dragon Warhammer obviously works phenomenally on him because you're removing 60 defense straight up, which is a lot since his slash bonus is not too high. You're getting rid of a whole 3,600 on their roll, which is pretty big. See here, he's super stubborn. He's not even burrowing. Funny too that he won't burrow below 5% health either. I wonder why. But yeah, if you don't know, you probably do. Of course, the meta is doing this in Darox. I know I already mentioned that. But yeah, that is the meta, is Darox. Alright, Giant Mole. It's time again. I might need to, I don't know. Yes, his kills are pretty slow, which is funny. I mean, they're quick, but at the same time they're slow. It seems like an eternity to get up to our 50 kill count for the high score. At the same time, you know, is it really that slow? I don't think so. I also don't believe I can bring noted mole parts to get them exchanged. I think you gotta run back and forth. So we'll do that too. And yes, so every single nest that you get from Giant Mole is guaranteed to have contents. I think I neglected to mention that. That's one of the biggest parts, is you're gonna see seeds like that. That's gonna be a big part of farming from the seed point of view, but then most obviously from, you know, your bird nest point of view, which is what you're constantly starved for, absolutely, with respect to how starved you are for toad flags, which is pretty much none at all. So, you know, we're gonna wrap it up after this kill, his kill count, and then we're going to exchange our mole parts. Show you what we got. Well, also I have to see what kind of ratio it is, because I forget if it's just one nest or if it's multiple. Part of me hopes it's multiple, but I'm not too hopeful. So let's hit that ornate pool. And yeah, as you can see, we didn't even get that many mole parts to begin with. With this method, I don't know how much quicker Darok is. You know, it's funny because with Daroks, so with Darox, just in case it is more than one, I still wonder what your DPS is because you're not hitting that often. I mean, you are. Well, okay, I don't know. I guess you are hitting that often. I should really finish off my Darox and then come and do myself some more, like, for real. How do I trade these into? I trade him in over here. Oh, he's actually outside. Okay, Wyson. Yeah, okay, so it is exactly one nest per part, which again is really good. You are farming a lot of nests per hour here for real. Especially you do these in between your birdhouse runs. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer as to, you know, which methods are gonna be pretty sweet, which methods are not gonna be pretty sweet. This is clearly a pretty sweet method. I'm assuming the moleskin is also equivalent, so yeah, we're gonna be getting 1 and 1. And so for us, that was 26 plus 13. We all know what that is. That's 39 whole. I shouldn't run that way. That is 39 whole bird nests from just, let's see here, from just about, oh wow, 30 minutes of footage. And 30 minutes of footage minus the fact that I experimented a bit and was doing this and that, just, you know, whatever. So before we open these, let's actually open them all at once and do ourselves a birdhouse run. That nest was actually empty. That was kind of weird. I wonder if there are low odds of that, or if that's actually a possibility. And we will also, we're also going to do our cacti, because remember everybody, cacti are very important. So let's actually do our cacti first. I will likely speed this up for you. Or rather, I will edit around me actually collecting it as opposed to running there. I suppose that was not the right place. Oh my. Let's see if we could do better on these cacti, since we only grabbed 4 off the last one. It's a little bit better. Okay, so okay, birdhouse time. Oh, this is also, oh, never mind. I thought that was gonna be exciting because I thought I was gonna hit 77 under on this run, but it looks like we actually hit it on the last run, and I didn't even notice. But that is exciting now. I could technically, if I wanted to, I might even do this, just to like test it out, get a feel, whatever. I might do plus 300 boosts for herbivore. Maybe once I hit 78, so I'll have 2 minutes each. I really want the perseverance prayer for all this stuff. However, I'm pretty sure that's one of the Cox prayer scrolls, if I'm, if I'm correct. Yeah, it is. It's one of the easy ones to get, of course. I mean, it's whatever. I'll get it. We'll open this ring, because who cares? Yeah, it was nothing. See? Alright. as it seems. The ones you get from moles seem to be a different identity. I wonder if they must have different chances. Okay, magic seed mahogany already looking real nice. One more mahogany, land of time, snape grass, and I don't really care about because I have a lot. So that was excellent. We got a magic seed out of that, and some more mahogany. 2 land of time, 2 dwarf wheat. Okay, so yeah, looks like you kind of get more higher level herb stuff from the mole nests. We're looking at some watermelon. Okay, yeah, that's pretty awesome. And as the very final thing we'll do, just to conclude the full giant mole bossing experience, we shall crush up the nests and I guess do a price check on my stack, which has not been running for a while, by the way, because I just the other day had to get my herblore up so that I could boost to make the 10 anti-venom that were required for the ornate pool. So that was fun. Yeah, it was a funny little contingency that you needed such an herblore level for a construction item, but you know, I was on top of it. Okay, and there it is, exactly 304 crush nests. That's over a mil, so you can see how this is, you know, giant mole is a moneymaker. It's giant mole is giant mole, and it's definitely worth pulling off for sure. You know, don't sleep on it, I guess, is my point. Nor should you be sleeping on what I am doing now, which is getting those coconuts and getting ready for some of the secondary herblore XP, such as the weapon poisons. But yep, everyone, since this is a relaxing bossing episode, I'm gonna leave it there because I like to keep these short and succinct and mostly about the bosses and the content that surrounds the bosses. So